Calculus! AP Calculus, self-check 6.1. There's the correct one. All right, so you have in front of you the solution guide. We spent 10 minutes doing this. Notice that there were only 2 on this one. I guess I didn't have to delete one. All right, so how do you get points? So it says that you get 2 points if the sign of the slope at each point and relative steepness of the slope in rows and columns. So yeah, so you just need to get all of them, and you get to decide how the AP graders are going to do it. You can ask me questions as well, but what you should have gotten are these following lines. So we should have gotten a slope of, this one was -2 here, this one was +2, these were both 0 and 0, and then it should be -1/2, it should be -1, +1, and +1/2. If you got all of them correct, give yourself +2. So if I got all of those correct, they look like boom, boom, bless you. Boom, boom. Wait, that's the wrong one. Like that. And that. If I got all those answers correct, just write +2, circle it, let yourself know that you get those 2 points. How many points do we get so far? 2? Okay, so far so good. You've that's a really good note. Remember, in order to pass the test, you need to average about 3 points per question. So if you get 1 more point, then you have passed the AP test, essentially. So you need to be able to separate the variables. So if you separated the variables, if you did step 1 correctly, if you separated, then you got those correct. So just to separate.
With messy work, how do they know what you've done?
Yeah, it's hard, but they'll eventually find it. So separating, we have x dy. I'm just cross multiplying here. So I'm cross multiplying x times dy and then 1 plus y times dx. So that's equal to 1 plus y, all of that, times dx. You have not separated yet, but I need to divide both sides by x, divide both sides by 1 plus y. So you get 1 over 1 plus y dy is equal to 1 over x dx. If you have that or anything with negative powers correctly, you get 1 point. So just with that work right there, that is...
On the actual test, do you want to write like the steps, like separate?
Nope. I do that just as a format. Maybe you do want to do that, but the AP graders, they don't need to see that. So if you separated the variables where all the y's and dy's are on one side, all the x and dx's are on one side, give yourself 1 point. Did you guys get that 1 point? You have now passed the AP test. Boom! That's all you need to do on average. But we want to get a 5, right? We want to shoot for that high score. By the way, if you did not do this one step and you try to do the rest of the steps, you get no points. You have to separate, otherwise you get no points for the rest of the problem. And usually they say that on here. This one doesn't. Oh yeah, there it says 0 out of 6 points if no separation of variables. If you didn't separate those variables, you get no points.
If we separated them and we got the rest wrong, will it drop our grade?
Nope. You got that point. They can't take that point ever away. All right, antiderivative. 1 for the left, 1 for the right. That's where these 2 points come from. So now that we did separate, now we are doing integrate. Integrate. So when I integrate, I'm going to integrate this 1 plus y to the power of -1 dy. I don't like fractions, so that's why I turned to the -1 power. That's going to be equal to the integral of x to the -1 dy. When I anti-differentiate, do we need taxman for either of these? Oh, oops. Yeah, that's a teacher error, sorry. Log it in your extra tracker. Yeah, do we need taxman in either one of these? No, we do not, because dinner's 1, we're good. So this is going to be what? What on the left?
ln absolute value 1 plus y.
1 plus y. You have to have that absolute value. And that's equal to? X and? Yeah, plus c. All right, and then here's how to read this thing. So if we did both antiderivatives correctly, give yourself 2 points. So right here, that's +1, +1. And if you did the constant of integration, if you had that plus c, that's another point.
So that's 3.
So that's 3 so far. And just in the integrate step. All right, coming back here.
If you like skip steps, like you're... So I wrote down the antiderivative, and then I use that same thing to write e, exponentiate. Like, does skipping steps in ways like this impact it?
Yes, you have to show what the antiderivative is. You already, wait. Oh yeah, you're writing e as if it was underneath, so that would have been the antiderivative, right?
Yeah. So So,
So you're
I
doing-
shouldn't write E.
I don't think you should definitely write them as two different steps to make sure that I think if I was an AP grader, I'd be like, okay, he definitely knows what he's doing. I'll give you the point, but to be sure, write them as two different steps. Yeah. So the question was, Ben wrote E already to both sides, just underneath, and I would say do that as a separate step. So instead of doing that, write E again, what's going on? You'd write E again to the natural log, and then just write it as a separate line, just to show that you know how to integrate. All right, so, and of course, the optional step is to actually isolate and do step 4. So if you want to isolate, you have to do that right now. But, so yeah, I'm about to say that. So step 3 is technically to evaluate. So this is the step that everyone has to do eventually in some way or another, and that's just to plug in our x and y values. So my x value was -1, my y value was 1. So if you wrote the following, natural log of absolute value 1 plus y, which is 1, is equal to natural logarithm of, I'm running out of room here. Oh, I can scroll a little bit to the right. Natural logarithm of x, which was -1, plus c. If you just wrote that, well, in my class you have to simplify this, so yes, right, natural log of 2 is equal to natural log of 1, and you know what natural log of 1 is, plus c. So in my class you need to write natural log of 2 is equal to 0, so that's 0, so c. If you wrote that step and you boil it all the way down here, then give yourself another +1 because you have now evaluated. On the AP test, stop right here.
Why?
That's all you need to do to get that point.
What if we do keep on going, but we have that?
If you do keep on going, all you're going to do is possibly get that point taken away. If you do some mathematical error, they'll take that point away. If you just evaluate it right here and stop, you get the point.
So all you did was plug it in.
All you do, plug it in, get that point. But in my class, I want you to practice simplifying. So you do need to simplify for this class. For the test that's going to be not tomorrow, but the day after that, so on Friday, the test on Friday, you need to boil it down to this final step. On the actual AP test in May, you have to do just this first step. Don't do any extra work because you might.
If we get used to simplifying, that's just gonna mess us up with the test.
The whole point of you simplifying is maybe you can get that 1 extra point that they're looking for, or 2 extra points, I think, in this case. So right now, you could be up to this point, but if you wanted to actually solve the entire problem to get the full points, this is optional. I can't spell isolate. This is the optional step. And by the way, so all the way to here, that's the non-optional. That's the non-optional. You have to do that. These 2 points here and here will give you, that'll give you the 9 out of 9. Each of these free response is 9 points. So far, if you've done everything, you are a 7 out of 9. You are cruising. You are doing great. So solving for y and getting the domain correct is going to give you those last 2 points. The domain correct is either getting the absolute value of x or just writing it and getting this domain correct. I think. Is that right?
Yeah, how do you get the domain?
Let me think about this. So x has to be less than 0. Why did they say that? X has to be less than 0. Why do they say x has to be less than 0? If I'm an AP grader, I'm seeing 1 point for the domain. There's the domain. You have to have that. So you have to get that 1 point for the domain. I don't know why. I'll have to think about this later because I don't want to take too much time up so we can try another one. I don't know why that has to be there, but it has to be there. I need to go back and see why that needs to be there. But yeah.
If you have y equals 2 absolute value of x minus 1, but not the domain, you get 0 points for that.
You get 1 point because you solved for y.
Okay.
So give yourself 1 point, and that is another point. I need to figure out why that 1 point. Yeah, so how many points did we get in total? Count them up. And then write out of 9 at the very top. So on the very top of your page up here, write something out of 9. How many points out of 9 did you get? Yes, 7. 7, Ben? I'm guessing 8, because you got that 1 extra point.
Initial condition, like, is that just plugging in f of -1 equals 1?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I did that. I just don't see where I did it.
Okay, yeah. Because you should get -1 plus 2 absolute value of x, or 2 absolute value of x minus 1. And those steps, at least in this guide, are the same thing, but in C is our Pandora's box. Instead of doing a Pandora's box, it's more formal to write it as a letter.
It's kind of hard for me to see how to leave C by itself when you isolate, because I get how you would get plus or minus E to the C.
Oh, do we want to see how to actually do this problem? No for Arrow, yes for Rochelle. I can do this really quick, I think. So when you isolate, I'm going to start right here at this step. So when I isolate, I'm going to exponentiate both sides. So I write e to the natural log of 1 plus y. I'm going to be super messy because I want to go fast. Equals to e to the power of natural log of absolute value of x plus c. And then this side, e and natural log cancel each other out. 1 plus y is equal to, and then I'm going to break these apart and flip them around. So it's going to be e to the power of c times, it would be e to the natural log of x, which just simplifies to absolute value of x. Do we see how to get there? Nods our heads. Okay. Then from there, I need to get rid of the absolute value sign. So to do that, I'm going to drop it and then do 1 plus y is equal to plus or minus e to the c times absolute value of x. There, plus or minus e to the c, that is our Pandora's box. That's the thing that we're going to encompass all in one variable. They call it capital C. I'm just going to call it a Pandora's box. So now I'm left with y is equal to -1. I need to add that to Pandora's box times absolute value of x.
Well, they were using K for the constant.
Or were they?
C is Pandora's box.
Oh, okay. That's weird. Okay, so I guess that's the formal way of doing it.
How do you know if E to the power of C is plus or negative?
Yeah, so you don't know, so just include all of that as a variable, include the plus and minus in Pandora's box, put everything that you don't know inside Pandora's box, so there it is,
How do you put it in there, the second part there?
right here.
Yeah,
I'm about to
how
do
you
that.
know you put plus the Pandora box.
Okay, so Pandora's box, let me go back a step, because I think that'll explain it. So right now we have 1 plus y is equal to Pandora's box times absolute value of x. So far so good? Okay, well then now Pandora's box is just a variable. Think of that as a variable, so I have to subtract 1 from both sides. So y is equal to Pandora's box times absolute value of x, and then I have to subtract 1 from both sides. There's the -1. And I just flipped those around before, so it was -1 plus this whole thing. So I'm just going to use this term. I think it's a little bit easier to see. And then from there, I need to use my initial conditions. So then this is where you probably use your x and y. So x is -1, so this is going to be -1 plugged in there, and y was 1. So I come down here, y is 1. 1 is equal to Pandora's box times absolute value of 1 minus 1. Absolute value of -1 is just 1. 1 times Pandora's box is Pandora's box. So now I'm left with 1 is equal to Pandora's box minus 1. Add 1 to both sides, so Pandora's box is equal to 2. So Pandora's box is equal to 2. Come back here to rewrite it in your y form. So just in this form right here, y is equal to, instead of a Pandora's box, it's 2 times absolute value of x minus 1. And then we have to get the domain, which I still don't know why the domain needs to be less than 0. So I'll come back to that when I figure that out. Questions? All right, you guys are killing it. Like, you're more than I'm asking for. Like, if you're getting that 3, that's what I'm looking for.